Carolyn Baldwin. Now, for over 40 years, those active in environmental protection, land conservation, and historic preservation have turned to Carolyn for advice. Her contributions have been made through her legal practice and as an educator and inspiration to an expanding group of practitioners and advocates, as well as a leader on numerous heritage and conservation boards and committees. New Hampshire owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to Carolyn for helping to steer local and statewide practice away from demolition or short-sighted development and towards recognizing and protecting New Hampshire's natural and historic resources, which she sees as two sides of the same coin. She was an early advocate of investment that enhances those assets for the good of our communities and our state. She helped shape the preservation movement, and her work continues to help it expand and thrive. After working in special collections at the University of Chicago Library and as an archivist at the New Hampshire Historical Society in the early 1970s, Carolyn made a bold move to study law. She graduated from Franklin Pierce Law Center and was one of the first 100 women admitted to the New Hampshire bar. In 1978, she created the Environmental Law Clinic at the Law Center and became its director until she established her own practice in 1983. That practice evolved into BCM Environmental and Land Use Law, PLLC, in 2012. While at the Historical Society, Carolyn wrote several recommendations for the Bicentennial Meeting House project, visiting such sites as Strawberry Bank and the Exeter Town Hall, as well as the 1823 Belknap Mill in Laconia, only recently rescued from urban renewal demolition. The mill was ultimately chosen as the Meeting House of New Hampshire, giving it visibility and credibility. It was one of the state's first industrial buildings to be adaptively reused, a direction that is commonplace today. 25 years later, her rescue from the wrecking ball, along with Jeff Taylor, Wallace Rhodes, and Chris Williams, of the historic Belmont Mill with an 11th hour injunction, is still held up as one of the pivotal moments in New Hampshire preservation history. A few years later, she was at it again, helping to save the home of orator and statesman Daniel Webster in Franklin. On the municipal planning and investment front, Carolyn has been the critical leader for New Hampshire historic preservation legislation, implementation, and interpretation, including historic districts and heritage commissions. In 1980, she was the supervising editor of the Handbook for Establishing and Administering Historic Districts, and she continues to contribute to its successor publications. She played a key role in establishing new tools like the Barn Tax Relief Program in neighborhood heritage areas as well. One of Carolyn's major legal victories for historic preservation was Victorian Realty Group versus City of Nashua in 1987. The New Hampshire Supreme Court unanimously affirmed that the district commissions are uniquely suited to provide recommendations to municipal planning boards. The ruling remains a clear assertion that historic district commissions can help planning boards implement a community's objective to safeguard its historic districts. Over the years, Carolyn has been a popular and effective presenter for the New Hampshire Bar, Municipal Association, Preservation Alliance, and many others, and she has helped 2 generations of attorneys, volunteer boards, property owners, and advocates. Carolyn's engagement extends to her hometown's heritage and conservation efforts and to her personal life, too. She's helped preserve community landmarks, including Gilmanton's First Baptist Church and Kelly Corner School. She and her husband Peter also donated a conservation easement on their 105-acre historic property in Gilmanton to the Five Rivers Conservation Trust. And as a board member of the Gilmanton Land Trust, helped conserve Meeting House Pond and adjacent farmland, and the flax redding pond. If Carolyn were a goddess, her nominator wrote, she would be Athena, goddess of wisdom and heroic endeavor, and also the ultimate but successful resort of the helpless.